At 2:45 in the morning on November 11th, 2020, a tractor trailer jackknifed in the northbound lanes of one of America's busiest bridges. Seconds later, a second semi carrying 110 pounds of caustic chemicals and 400 gallons of diesel fuel slammed into it. The collision ignited a fire that burned for more than 2 hours at temperatures approaching 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. Steel softened, concrete cracked. When the smoke cleared, the Brent Spence Bridge was closed indefinitely. It would remain closed for 41 days. For the federal government, the closure was a wake-up call 60 years in the making. The Brent Spence Bridge connects Cincinnati, Ohio, and Covington, Kentucky across the Ohio River, carrying Interstate 71 and Interstate 75. Together, those two highways form one of the busiest freight corridors in North America, linking Canada to Florida and tying together the auto plants, distribution centers, and farms of the American interior. Today, more than $1 billion in freight crosses this single bridge every single day. Trucks moving Toyota engines from Kentucky to Michigan cross it. Florida produce bound for Canada crosses it. Tens of thousands of commuters cross it. And for more than a quarter century, federal inspectors have classified the bridge as functionally obsolete. The story of how it stayed in service for so long and the staggering price now required to fix it is one of the strangest chapters in modern American infrastructure. Before we go further, please subscribe and like this video. The Brent Spence Bridge opened in November 1963. Built as a double-decker truss span over the Ohio River, it was state-of-the-art for the early interstate era. 3 lanes in each direction across 2 decks, 4-foot emergency shoulders, a design capacity of 80,000 vehicles a day. By the standards of 1963, that was generous. By the standards of 1985, it was already obsolete. Rather than build a second bridge, Kentucky did something cheaper. The state spent $15 million to remove the emergency shoulders, narrow the lanes from 12 feet to 11 feet, and restripe the bridge with 4 lanes in each direction. Capacity rose to 100,000 vehicles a day. Safety fell. In 1998, the Federal Highway Administration officially classified the bridge as functionally obsolete, a designation it has carried for more than 25 years. Today, the bridge moves around 160,000 vehicles every 24 hours, double the capacity it was designed for, including roughly 10 times the truck volume the original engineers had imagined. Drivers on this stretch of interstate are 3 to 5 times more likely to crash than on any comparable highway in either state. By the early 2000s, the warning signs were everywhere. In 1997, a regional study warned the bridge had only 12 to 16 years of useful life left. In 2002, Congressman Ken Lucas secured nearly $2 million for a replacement study. By 2009, both states had agreed on the basic concept. Then came the politicians. In September of 2011, President Barack Obama stood beneath the bridge and called on Congress to fund a national infrastructure bill. He named Speaker John Boehner of Ohio and Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky specifically. "Help us rebuild this bridge," he said. The bill never passed. In 2015, the governors of Ohio and Kentucky finally agreed on a joint funding plan, but that plan depended on tolls. In northern Kentucky, where commuters used the bridge daily, tolls were politically radioactive. Within a year, Kentucky elected an anti-toll governor who signed legislation banning tolls on any new bridge connecting the two states. The plan collapsed. President Trump called the bridge dangerous in 2017 and promised action. Nothing happened. 4 presidents would speak publicly about the Brent Spence Bridge before the first shovel turned dirt. And then, on the night of November 11th, 2020, the bridge nearly burned itself in half. The chemical fire did what 60 years of warnings could not. It forced action. Within 48 hours, the Federal Highway Administration released $12 million in emergency relief funds. Kentucky awarded an emergency repair contract. The bridge reopened on December 22nd, just 41 days after the crash, under budget and a day ahead of schedule. But the damage to the public's patience was done. 1 year after the fire, President Biden signed the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. 13 months after that, in December of 2022, the U.S. Department of Transportation awarded $1.6 billion in federal funding for a brand new bridge. The plan that emerged is unusual. The original 1963 truss will not be demolished. It will be rehabilitated, restored to its original 3 lanes per direction configuration, and used only for local Cincinnati and Covington traffic. All Interstate 71 and Interstate 75 through traffic will move onto a brand new companion bridge, built immediately to the west. Unveiled in June of 2025, the design is a cable-stayed bi-level structure with independent decks. Northbound traffic will travel on the top deck, a deliberate reversal from the existing bridge, so that drivers approaching Cincinnati through the famous Cut in the Hill will see the city's skyline as they cross. The contractor is the Walsh-Kokosing joint venture, working under a design-build contract that integrates engineering and construction into one agreement. The plan was approved, the funding was secured, the design was finalized. And then, in March of 2026, came the surprise. In mid-2025, the project carried a price tag of $3.6 billion. On March 16, 2026, both states announced that the figure had jumped to $4.4 billion. The construction-only portion now stands at just over $4 billion. The cause is no mystery. According to the Federal Highway Administration, national highway construction costs rose 61% between 2020 and 2025, driven by steel, concrete, fuel, and labor. Because Kentucky law still forbids tolls, and because the federal grant is fixed, the entire $800 million increase falls on Ohio and Kentucky taxpayers, split 50% each. Kentucky's share of construction alone is now $1.7 billion. The Ohio Department of Transportation called it the price of finally taking action. On May 8, 2026, the governors of Ohio and Kentucky, joined by Senator McConnell and the head of the Federal Highway Administration, broke ground on the Cincinnati side of the river. The companion bridge is scheduled to open in 2031. The full 8-mile corridor will be completed in 2033. For 63 years, America's busiest freight corridor has run across a bridge built for a smaller country in a smaller century. The fire of November 11, 2020 did not break the bridge. It broke the political stalemate. And the price of waiting that long, measured in steel, in concrete, and in the 61% inflation that swept through American infrastructure, is now $4.4 billion and counting. The talking, finally, is over. If you found this fascinating, hit subscribe for more stories like this.